Come on, Dragon. What you got? What you got, Dragon? Huh? What you got? Take a fireball.
Hey,
Fireball
XollFury. Hey.
What?
What are you doing?
I'm fighting a dragon. Leave me alone.
Holy shit, is that a dragon?
That's a dragon.
What the hell?
Oh, God.
Look out, he's coming. What the? Look out.
I got this.
No.
Oh, crap. I'm out of magic.
Oh, God.
I'm out of magic.
Whoa,
Oh, God. So hi guys, XollFury here, along with my good friend
Zamboni Chaos.
and today we're talking about Skyrim!
I'm so excited.
I know!
Even though I've already played like 40 hours of the game.
Yeah, I know.
I'm still excited to talk about it.
Well, of course, it's awesme.
It is.
Yeah,
It really is.
So...
Should we explain what Skyrim is for people who may be living under a rock?
Who doesn't know what Skyrim... Okay, sure. No. Fine, go for it.
So, Skyrim is the 5th game in the Elder Scrolls series, developed by Bethesda.
But Zamboni Chaos, what is the Elder Scrolls series?
The Elder Scrolls series is a series of role-playing games developed by Bethesda. When did the first game come out? I actually don't know when the first game came out.
1995.
1995. So a lot of time they put into this series. It's probably one of the most famous PC, because it was on the PC, and that's where it started. And then you had their breakout game, which I say was Morrowind, which really became really popular. And of course, from that came Oblivion, which is also super popular. Now we have Skyrim, which is the penultimate. You see what I did there? Penta 5. No,
I see what you did there.
It's the latest game in the Elder Scrolls series, and
Yes.
it's got magic and hack and slashery and
other such awesomeness.
dragons.
Yeah.
For the first time in the Elder Scrolls series.
Yeah, and just so you know, it is a medieval fantasy set in a fantasy world on a fantasy continent.
On a fantasy planet.
On a fantasy planet. And there should be a map coming up pretty soon of the continent called Tamriel. And the very first game was called The Elder Scrolls Arenas, and I don't remember where exactly that was. It might have been over the whole continent or just an arena in one of the places. But then 2 was up in the northwestern provinces of Hammerfell and High Rock, I believe it's called. This is just off the top of my head here. The third game, Morrowind, was in Morrowind. The fourth game, Oblivion, was in Cyrodiil, and with an expansion to the Shimmering Isles.
Yep.
And then the fifth game is Skyrim, which is the North Province. And that leaves the bottom 2 provinces, the South and Southeastern Province. And I would assume that both of those or one of those would be in the 6th game. And then I'm hoping that the 7th would be the entire continent.
That would be quite the...
that would be awesome.
Quite the undertaking. Because these games, let's face it, these games are massive. And
they're huge.
I mean, I want to say that Skyrim is actually smaller than Cyrodiil in terms of size.
Oh, yes.
But there is more stuff in Skyrim. Like, they put more... It's more dense.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about... So, you start the game, most of these games start with you being a prisoner of some sort, of no, real notable note, and then you kind of rise up and become this ultra
awesome
hero.
Badass, yeah.
Right, in terms of, just typical fantasy, style. So, you create a character, and then you in this game, you can pretty much choose how you want to play. There is no class. There are no classes.
Was it like that in the others?
In Oblivion, there were classes, and you were kind of stuck at... You kind of picked, and you had to flow with that.
Okay.
In this, there's a system...
Because it's completely free
Completely.
in this.
Because the way you do it is you level up what you use. So, for me, I decided I wanted to dual wield, because I love dual wielding. So I wanted to dual wield, so as I use swords in both hands, I level up one-handed and get better at that.
Yeah.
I wear heavy armor, so I level up heavy armor. And, I'm not very good at magic. So you just get this very fluid, very natural sense of progression.
Yeah, and the closest they come to a class type system is they have the Guardian Stones. Is that what they're called? Mm-hmm. Guardian Stones. And there's 3 of them. There's the Thief Stone, the Mage Stone, and the Warrior Stone.
Right.
And they don't define your class at all.
Right.
All it does is that it gives those specific skills. It makes them level up faster.
Right.
So if you were to pick the Mage Stone, all of your magical abilities would level up faster.
Right.
If you were to pick the Warrior Stone, all of your heavy armor and melee weapons and things would level up faster.
It's a very immersive way of bringing kind of stats and stat progression and skill progression into the game, where you don't just go into a menu and select it like that. You actually go out into the world and you find these things, and you have to find them first. So it's very immersive. It's very fun. Yeah. And of course, that's the whole point of the Elder Scrolls series and Skyrim, is the immersion and the exploration and the discovery. Because there is a main quest line, of course, but like I said, I put over 50 hours now into this game. Wow. And I've done a few of the main quest lines. I mean, this is a game where you get sidetracked and there is no shortage of things to do.
It's so funny because, okay, so the whole concept of this game, for those who don't know, there have not been dragons in the previous games. Right. They have been maybe talked about in passing, but as those are just legends sort of way. So when the first dragon shows up at the beginning of Skyrim, everyone's just flipping out. Right. They're going, am I tripping right now? What's going on? Like, they just cannot hardly believe it. So,
and that's kind of where the whole lore begins, where you start to realize that the character you play is Dragonborn.
Yeah, which means that you have dragon blood, which means that you can use dragon shouts. You can speak their language and use their abilities. Right. And the shouts come in all forms of shapes and sizes.
In this world, like fire breath and like the typical dragon breath that you see is actually shouting, and it's actually a language. Yeah. And you can learn that language and thereby learn. Yeah. And you have to do that by killing dragons and capturing their souls. So let's get into kind of our opinions of this game and what we love about it. And first of all, since we're on the topic of dragons, what do you think about what they did with making these dragons completely, most of them at least, completely free AI, where they just roam the world and attack anything that their AI says they should attack, and you can run into them at any time. And the battles, in my opinion, as it starts, you get some really epic battles. Yeah. But for me, later on, as melee, they're going down really easy right now. So I don't know if that's because of the way I'm playing or just the way I
What
progress.
difficulty are you on? Adept or novice?
I think I'm still on novice. That might be a reason. I switched because
bump
I just
it up
wanted
to
progress.
adept and
I
see,
probably
and
should,
then talk about that.
It starts out, if you're on adept, it's hard when you start. But you get to the point where I'm at, like level 30, 33, 34. It's kind of... I'm pretty overpowered at the moment. But you can always bump up the difficulty and change it later.
Yeah, I would strongly recommend you bump it up to adept and then.
But the dragon fights are amazing. Like,
yeah, I've not bumped it down to novice. I've always been on adept, and the dragons have been they're tough. Right. But when Lydia's there to just be your meat shield, I'm a battle mage, so I have heavy armor and spells, and I can just sit back and cast fire bolts at him or just shoot him with my bow or whatnot. Right. And he is focused on Lydia, and she is not dying because she doesn't really. I mean, she does, but I've not ever seen her die. So,
well, I think the addition of dragons and it could have been anything, but what's better than dragons?
But getting back to your main question though, about the AI of the dragons, for the most part, I think it's really cool. Sometimes you're like, I don't want to fight another dragon,
or sometimes two show up, and you're like, really?
You're like, really?
And you're in the middle of nowhere, so no one can help you.
Yeah. However, I think there's two different things that I want to talk about with this. Dragons showing up in towns and dragons showing up in the wilderness. Yes. In towns, I think it's really cool, because then you get all the guards involved, and he's like torching down houses and stuff, and that's really cool, because then you can like hide. I was in Winterhold, and which is a northern, that's where the mage college is and all that good stuff. But I was in there, and this dragon just showed up out of nowhere, and he started torching stuff. And I went under this one balcony, and I was hiding under there, charging up my fire bolts, and I would hop out, blast him, and hop back under. Yeah, and then the guards were all running around and attacking him, and I think that kind of a thing is really cool. Yeah, because I just stepped out of the college, and I walked into the town, and oh hey, there's a dragon.
Right, it's immersive, it's volatile. It really gives the feeling that Skyrim is this kind of just wild kind of beautiful wilderness, just the savage, beauty of a I guess place. Yeah, and it was really cool. And what's funny is that you're mentioning how dragons can show up anywhere, like in towns and stuff. I had an experience today where I was leveling my blacksmith, just hanging out, working at the forge, just hammering stuff, making some daggers and whatnot. And the blacksmith was there, and I was buying all my stuff from him. I leave, to go get some stuff. I come back, and there's a dragon attacking this town. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I should deal with that. I do. I deal with the dragon, but I turn around and the blacksmith is dead. The dragon has killed the blacksmith, and guess what? He's not coming back.
Yeah.
That blacksmith, that NPC is dead. I can't buy stuff from him anymore. So I have to go to another town to finish leveling my blacksmith. The fact that that can happen in this game, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
NPCs perma-die, and almost no one is safe. There are some major quest givers that, of course, have to stay alive.
Yeah.
But there are NPCs that you do quests for and can get attached to, right? They just die. And there's nothing you can do about it sometimes.
Yeah. And then, as far as the dragons showing up in the wilderness goes, sometimes you just run along the road and you hear this, that's
another amazing thing about this game is the sound.
Well, yeah,
the sound of this game. You can hear when dragons are coming.
Yeah.
Like you don't hear them really, but you can kind of you hear them, the wings flapping, like they echo through the valleys, and you know when one's coming, and you look up, and sure enough, there it is.
Yeah. Two different experiences I've had with them just showing up in the wilderness. I was just running down this road, and then I hear the screech of the dragon, and then I look over, and here he comes flying down the mountain, and I would have had no idea he was there.
Right.
And he just showed up and started attacking me and Lydia. And of course, Lydia is your house girl, as it's called, but basically your bodyguard companion, meat shield, as or a pack mule,
trigger of traps.
Yes, pack mule, other such things. Every time it's like, you have too much stuff to carry, you can't run.
You're just like,
hey Lydia, here,
I got some stuff for you.
Just
and
she's pile her full of crap.
Like you tell her like, I need some stuff. I need you to carry this stuff, and she's all begrudgingly like, I'm sworn to carry your burdens, and I'm like, that's right, you will carry my burdens.
Yep.
Take this mountain of crap. Take. I just looted this entire house. I want you to carry all of it. I've got 40 brooms. I need you to. I don't know if I'll need these, but we might need them. So you just carry them.
Oh man, yeah. So, anyways, that was one thing where that was he just showed up out of nowhere, and then another one was I was running along this mountain path, and I looked down the mountain to the plains, and I see this dragon circling around. And that was really cool to see him from a distance. He didn't show up on your compass mini-map thing up at the top. So, I mean, I wouldn't have known he was there if I hadn't seen him. And then he was just sitting there circling around, and I was like, I think I'll go kill a dragon. So I did. I ran down there and fought him and killed him, and that's really cool. So I think the AI works really well.
For the dragons, at least. The AI for your companions, as we've seen, is not the greatest. I just showed him a video of... Basically,
we'll put it in the description. It's hilarious.
You just have to watch it. It pretty much sums up companion AI pretty well. As far as regular enemy AI, it's good. It's not anything incredibly amazing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's really bad, but sometimes I've seen some level of intelligence where you'll run in and there's a guy with a bow and arrow, and there's a guy with a sword and shield, and the guy with the sword and shield will run forward and hit you. The guy with the arrow is standing back shooting, but you kill the guy with the sword and shield. The guy with the bow and arrow stops, pulls out a melee weapon, and comes at you. He knows, sometimes it doesn't happen, but there is some level of intelligence there. But since we're here, let's talk about the combat.
Yes.
Infamously in Oblivion, it was pretty much just left click to win. And you just kind of swing your sword back and forth, and till the person dies, right?
Yeah.
It was like Diablo in first person.
I don't actually know. I played like maybe 1 hour of Oblivion. So.
But in this, they've done quite a bit to help to kind of make the characters and the NPCs and the enemies have more weight. And so when you get into combat, there is a bit more maneuvering, and there's a bit more where you feel like you have to time your attacks properly, and you have stamina for me, so you can do power attacks and charges and things like that. There's more variety in the combat this time.
So what do you like about the combat system?
I like the fact that it's not just, I don't feel like I just run in there and just mindlessly left click. Yeah. I do have to, maybe it's the fact, the combat, I'll be honest. It's not that exciting when you get down to it. It's really not. But it's fun enough to where you can just kind of look past it, because let's face it, the beauty of this game isn't in its combat.
Right.
If the combat was bad, that would be disappointing, but you could overlook it. Since the combat is decent, it's not something that I look at and see as a major detriment to the game. Yeah. It's not anything crazy or crazy good or exciting, but it's good enough, and it helps. when I get into a fight, I don't feel like, oh god, it's another fight. I gotta do all this again. No, it's cool because they really help your character feel powerful, and they've added in cool little cinematics where you execute someone, or you just feel powerful and you feel, if it's fun. It's fun combat, and if you have a shield, you have to block and stuff like that.
See, to me, my biggest complaint against the combat system is that it feels kind of clunky.
Right.
But my biggest praise for the combat system is that it's very realistic. And it's clunky because it's realistic. You have a great sword. And you play some games like Devil May Cry 3 comes to mind, where he has this huge freaking sword, and he's just kind of swinging
he's one-handing it, right?
One-handing it, just swinging it around and stuff. And while that's fun, it's not realistic.
Right.
But that's not what the game's about. I'm not hating on the game. It's a fantastic game,
right.
But just as an example. In this, when you have a great sword, you run up and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And it takes half your stamina bar.
Exactly. And that is incredibly real. It's clunky. If you miss, you're screwed, but it's realistic.
Right.
And that's really cool.
And that comes back to the having a sense of timing and
exactly.
knowing how to maneuver and fight. So there is a level of tactics and strategy there. And just having that there a little bit just helps, I think, helps a lot. So,
one thing I gotta say, though, my favorite spell is Flames, where I just Kamehameha those guys. And
yeah, because we didn't talk about that, how the magic worked, how you can, just like you can dual-wield weapons.
Yeah, you can also have 2 different spells, one in each hand.
Right.
So you can have fire and healing.
Or the same spell.
Or the same spell, and then you can spec into it where that not only, like... If you were to do, one in each hand, you would be doing this kind of a thing. Then if you spec into it and you do them both at the same time, you do this, and it does an additional damage. It does, twice the damage.
Or if you want, you could use a melee weapon in one hand.
Yeah.
And a spell in the other.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variety in combat.
That's the other thing, is you can have, healing and a sword or something.
Mm-hmm. And I really like that. I like the way they did the specs and the way you can pick points. And the UI... Let's talk about, since we praised the game so much, let's talk about probably one of the game's biggest shortcomings. Well,
this was released too soon. It's too buggy.
I don't know about too soon. It was buggy, but they've patched that. I mean, it's less buggy now.
I've not gotten any updates for it.
Well, they were supposed to do a day 1 patch, so I don't know if that went through or not, and I just missed it.
Why do they have to do day 1 patches?
Well, let's face it. I mean, first of all, let's be honest, and I want to be clear. The complaints I have about the UI is from a PC standpoint. This probably won't be an issue for console players. Those of you playing on a PS3 or Xbox, you won't really notice this. But on a PC, it's very noticeable. When you go into the menu system, you have this scrolling wheel kind of thing where, kind of like on an iPad or an iPhone, where you kind of scroll through and what's highlighted kind of comes up and pops out, and just kind of like a wheel. So you do that using the scroll wheel, but the system gets confused as to whether or not, if it's highlighted and you try to click on something else, it either selects what's highlighted, or it flies around, or it takes some getting used to.
Yeah, if you move your cursor down and it's not highlighted, it will click whatever's highlighted.
Right.
The highlight thingy has to come down to where your mouse is.
I can't tell you how many times I selected the wrong dialogue choice.
Yeah.
Because I thought I had clicked on the right
I've
option.
just stopped using the mouse altogether in menus. I just do WASD for just W and S for up and down.
And that's obviously...
And then E for select and tab
and that's obviously
back out,
a port issue.
Yeah.
That they designed that UI for consoles, and it didn't port as well as it could to the PC.
It's one of those things that it works, but it's it's clunky. It's not smooth. It doesn't feel natural to the PC.
But overall, even with these complaints, for me at least, they haven't taken away anything from this game.
No,
this game is probably, I was thinking about the other day, it's the most fun I've had since I played Mass Effect 2.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been so immersed in a game since then, and this game has fully immersed me. The world and the environment is so beautiful, so stunning, and so rich. And everything you do and everything the NPCs do makes sense, and the world has cohesion. You go into a cavern, you go into a dungeon. That dungeon is actually built out in the world. It's not separate. It's in the mountain.
Yeah, sometimes there's an entrance and exit.
It's like they built the world that you see on the outside, but all the dungeons, normally those would be separate. No, those dungeons are built into that outside structure. So it's a world. It's deep. It's complete. Like if you walk into a cave and you walk into I've walked into this room where there's just this underground forest. You've seen those places where there's like a forest underground growing with like water, and you look up and there's like a hole in the ceiling where the sunlight's coming in.
Yeah.
And you could go outside, walk up that mountain, and find that hole and look down in. It's that kind of connection, and something I was listening to a podcast, and the guy describing this was one of his biggest praises, and I have to agree. I just have to echo those sentiments because it's that connection, it's that completeness to the world that makes you so immersed, and what makes it such an amazing experience. And this isn't entirely one of the reasons this game is so amazing is the music, and that's not completely separate from Guild Wars, from what I understand.
Yeah, take a listen to some of this music that I'll be rolling here, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about that and some closing thoughts. So we'll be right back.
Right. So that should sound familiar.
Yeah, so those of you who didn't know, if it sounds at all familiar to you, it is composed by Jeremy Soule himself.
Yep.
Who's Jeremy Soule? He is the composer for all of the music for both Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, I was impressed with Guild Wars music, but Skyrim has some amazing music.
The guy Jeremy Soule's done all of the Elder Scrolls music.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember Oblivion.
I know he's done Oblivion.
I don't remember Oblivion's music standing out to me as much as Skyrim. There's just something about the way he's structured and built this music. It just fits. Yeah. It just fits the world. It just fits the feel.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it doesn't feel like the world. It's hard to explain. It doesn't feel like the music is just kind of there because it has to be.
Right.
It feels like the world is generating the music.
Right.
And I can't say that I've felt that about any other game.
Yeah.
You go somewhere and the music plays, and not once do you think that's kind of odd.
No.
Like in fact, you don't even hardly notice it because it fits so well.
Right. It's like they're connected. It's like the music and the world. They're the same thing. And the design and just the forethought and the brilliance of the design of this game is really unmatched. Yeah. Bethesda's done quite an amazing job at crafting this world and making it so immersive and so real. And I don't know, it's going to be... I think it's safe to say it's already my game of the year.
Yeah. The year's almost over, so we can pretty much safely say that.
And this was the time that everyone was waiting for when, but Modern Warfare 3, Skyrim, huge month for games. But out of everything I played this year, I don't think anything's going to top Skyrim. That's going to be my game of the year for me, for sure.
So as far as closing thoughts go, I have been waiting. I have been longing for a game like Skyrim to come along. I played Mass Effect, and that was great, but only lasted 20 hours.
Right.
I played Mass Effect 2, and that was great, but only lasted 25 hours. And it was like, okay, those were great games. Those were fantastic games. They're great experiences, but it had an end.
Right.
There was a limited amount of things you can do.
Let's be fair, there is in Skyrim. There is limited.
But it is so much greater. I have already put as much time into Skyrim as I have in both Mass Effect or Mass Effect 2.
Right.
And I'm nowhere near done.
Yeah, like I said, I'm sitting at 50 hours and there's no end in sight.
Yeah.
I could draw this out for 100, 120 hours if I wanted to.
Completely avoided the main storyline. Like, you're the Dragonborn. You have dragon blood in you. You're supposed to go to these Greybeard guys to teach you the ways of the dragon language.
Defeat the evil dragon overlord.
I'm level 21. You get the quest at level 4.
Yeah.
I haven't gone yet.
And that just speaks to the beauty of this design of this game. That speaks to its greatest strength, which is its richness. And it's going to be a sad day when I finish the game, I think. And I'm like, well, it's finally over. And then you make another character. Another class. Yep. But that's...
man.
It's great.
Yeah.
We're nerds.
We're such nerds.
Well.
So yeah, mods.
Mods.
Will you use mods when they come out with anything?
Oh, definitely. I love the mods they brought out for Oblivion, and I know there's going to be some crazy ones for Skyrim. I can't wait to see what some people come up with.
I'm definitely going to play through the whole thing in its completion in vanilla.
Right, of course.
And then I'll probably screw around with plenty of mods.
Once I finish the game, I will create a character that is completely just I'm just gonna mod the hell out of my world. Just crazy stuff.
Character creation, herp derp. What? That's like one of the biggest things. Why haven't we talked about that yet?
Character creation is kind of it's there, but it's nothing incredibly amazing.
Well, no. The Oblivion character creation was like, oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah, I did like the fact
that this is pretty much the same thing.
They scaled it back a bit.
Yeah.
So it's
not as like, how wide do you want the nose flabbies? It's
I heard someone say they took away the ability for players to make your character incredibly grotesque. Because you can't take the nose and put it way up in your forehead like you could with Oblivion. They did put those. You can't take the eyes and put them on the side of your face like you could with Oblivion. They did scale that back. Man. And that's the other thing. They made the NPCs look a lot prettier than they did in Oblivion. They were ugly in Oblivion.
That's true.
So much so that half the mods that were made for that game were trying to make the NPCs prettier.
Yeah.
But no, mods can't wait. But for now, it's all about the main storyline. It's all about my side quests. It's just about my experience. And
so, personally, what have you done in the game? When you first created your character, what went through your mind until you got to your decision?
What decision exactly?
Which race did you pick? And what was your character creation process? Like when you hopped in, were you just like, I'm playing this? Or did you kind of look around a bit?
No, I looked around. I just wanted to see what was available.
Right.
But I knew right away I was going to play an Imperial. Because, like I said before, I like being the snobby human. So, but I was an Imperial, but then fought the Imperials in the rebellion. So that was kind of amusing. But no, I just wanted to, I knew I wanted to be a dual wielder badass. So I made him look like a badass. I gave him white eyes.
Oh, nice.
Well, not white, silver eyes.
Nice.
Because that, I kind of fit. I'm like, this guy's Dragonborn. Something's got to stand out. So, I'll be standing, at night, and you can see my eyes. It's just, I thought that was a cool little touch. But most of the time, character creation, I don't spend a whole lot of time with it. I pick a template, I change a few things, add some facial features, and then just go.
One thing I have to say is, for the character creation, they need to have better defaults. Because when I'm looking through my first play, my first game, in true XollFury fashion, I had to restart. I do that in every
twice?
game. Well, I played it over here.
Right.
Not on my computer, not on the computer that I have. And then I played it on this one, got it on this one, and then started again.
Right.
And then I restarted again. I got up to level 9 and restarted. I played a female Brayton, or Britain, or whatever you call them. And
Britain? I say what?
I say.
No, I don't think they're English.
No, I think it's Brayton is how they pronounce it, but it's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, and of course I went female. Of course. And that was cool, but I just wanted to restart. But the first time I went into the character creation, I picked a Nord. Because of all of the defaults, I was like, okay, Imperials look like pansies. High elves look like aliens.
But once you get into the character creation, you can pick different presets and then build off that.
Well, see, it's one of those things that I didn't think about initially.
Right.
And it was like honestly, the high elves, they looked like freaking aliens. All of the elves looked weird.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to play that. That's not appealing at all. So I picked a Brayton, and then I went female because she was actually kind of cute. And of course I made her a redhead. Of course.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't I? But anyways, when I restarted again, I went high elf. Because I was like, okay, I'm going to see what I can do to this guy cosmetically to make him look cool.
Undergo radical plastic surgery.
I did. I had to. So I turned his skin from like a yellowish gold to like a slightly hint of green, but mostly sort of similar to this. And I made him tan. I made him pretty muscular. I gave him like awesome facial hair and like green eyes, and he actually looks pretty cool. And I was like, okay, he's a high elf. That's awesome. Why couldn't they have gone with like a less alien looking default? I mean, if you just take the default...
Elves are aliens, dude.
I know. But if you take the default high elf and you take the default preset and you give him black eyes or white eyes, he looks like it's an alien. That's like...
Well... Yeah, their NPC, it still needs some work, but you just wait. After a month, there'll be a mod out that makes everything beautiful.
Yeah. Not that it isn't already.
Right.
We're gonna also link another video of a time-lapse compilation that a guy put together. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah. Of
many different areas within Skyrim, and it's just gorgeous. It really speaks volumes to the
everything
about. I mean, it's just I haven't seen such a gorgeous game in a very long time, and that's one thing I really have to stress about the console versus PC is that the console, you have if you haven't gotten Skyrim and you have an option, do not get it for Xbox. Xbox is the oldest of the systems, and it has the oldest of the graphical hardware.
Right.
The PS3 is a lot better.
Right.
It will look a lot better on there. If you don't really care so much about graphics and you have a 360, go for it. I'm not going to say don't.
Let's be fair.
If you...
It is going to be best on the PC, but not because the graphics engine is so advanced.
No.
The graphics engine is not what makes this game amazing. What makes this game amazing is the art style.
Yes.
The detail, the colors. The artists are what made this game beautiful. And the world designers who put it all together.
My main point, though, is if you have an Xbox, a PS3, and a very nice PC, I would recommend getting it for the PC. I
think anyone who already has a very nice PC is probably going to get it for the PC.
I would recommend.
But yes, he's right. You
can turn the graphics up and it will look way better than the other two. Yeah. But if you have an option between the PS3 and the 360, I would say PS3 because it would look better on the PS3.
But if you just have a 360,
then get it and you'll still enjoy the game.
Yeah,
and it'll still look good. Just
because, like I said, it's not the graphics engine that brings this game. It's going to be the art. It's the style. It's the richness.
But we've been yakking for a while, so we'll kind of cut it off there unless you have any final thoughts.
So Skyrim, how about that game, man?
It's pretty epic.
It's definitely going to it's definitely helped tide me over to Guild Wars 2.
Definitely.
So good on them for that.
Yeah.
Now maybe I've forgotten about all of their games for like a week now.
I really owe you guys.
I've forgotten about eating and sleeping too.
I owe you guys such a huge apology. I'm sure you have noticed that I have not had any videos in the past week and a half.
This is why.
I was like, Monday came around and I was like, okay, gotta make a video. And I turned on Skyrim. I was like, I'll only play for an hour.
6 hours later.
The whole day went by and I was like, well, crap. Yeah, it was one of those things where I intended to, but then Skyrim happened.
Yes.
So Skyrim. I apologize, but I'm going to try to get back on track.
But we know you understand.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's us fanboying.
We've talked for 30 minutes on this. We could talk for another 30 and then another 30 and really, not run out of stuff to talk about.
Really, the best way to understand and to really get this game is just to play it.
Yeah.
Words can't really... They can explain it, but they can't make you understand it.
So yeah, we've been talking for so long that the memory card ran out of space.
Hey, you start talking about Skyrim, it's like you lose track of talking about it or playing it. The same effect happens.
The same
you just
thing.
lose track of time. That's the effect this game has. This game is messing with space time.
Yep. Do you remember what you were talking about?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
Well, that's probably a good place to stop then.
Probably.
Anyway, guys, Skyrim, it's amazing.
It's awesome.
Game of the year, no doubt. If any other game wins Game of the Year, I will be disappointed.
I am going to
It's going to be Pandas.
pick it and stuff.
Yeah, dude. Pandas. If it doesn't get Game of the Year.
Suddenly Pandas.
Yeah. Pandas is bad, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Pandas. I hate pandas. Bamboo, really? I mean, is that what you eat?
I know, man.
You eat wood? Bamboo? What the hell am I talking about?
I have no idea.
Anyway, guys. That's us.
Yep.
We're done. Who are you?
I'm XollFury, I think.
Who am I?
I don't remember. Who are you?
I'm Zamboni Chaos.
Zamboni Chaos?
That's right. Fearless Imperial Adventure of Skyrim, Slayer of...
dragons and other such things.
Slayer of all the dragons.
Slayer of all the dragons.
Alright, well, guys, that's it. We're out.
This is like our weirdest outro ever.
Hey. Just gotta roll with it, man.
Yep, pretty much. See you guys.
Take it easy.
Later.
Adios.